Whether you're dreaming of becoming a lead teacher, stepping into your first director role, or leading a thriving child care program of your own, you don't have to figure it out alone. Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, where leadership coach, speaker, co-author, and multi-center owner Erica Sacoscio shares the wisdom she's gained from decades of leading successful early childhood programs and developing future leaders. Each episode is designed to help you use your voice, lead with confidence, build a positive workplace culture, and become the kind of leader your team is excited to follow. Expect real talk, big laughs, bold leadership truth, practical strategies, and the encouragement to believe in yourself every step of the way. Because when Erica teaches leadership, she's teaching what she's lived. The Child Care Director's Chair is proudly sponsored by Watch Me Grow, supporting childcare leaders with innovative technology that helps build stronger programs and stronger family connections. Together, they believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. Pull up your chair, future leader. Here's Erica Sacoscio.
Hey guys, Erica here with the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. We are so excited you are tuned in today. This is a very special episode. This is specifically for our friends in ECE who are thinking about making a jump, making a move, betting on themselves. So I'm going to ask you this. What would happen if you finally believed that the skills that you use every day in early childhood education could become the foundation for something bigger? Educators are some of the most creative, resourceful, determined, hardworking people that I know. And we know how to solve problems with limited resources. Isn't that the truth? We also know how to communicate with different personalities. We know how to lead. We know how to teach. We know how to create, organize, adapt, and keep going even when the plan falls apart. Yet so many educators struggle to see those abilities as valuable outside the classroom. We tell ourselves we're just teachers or just directors or just childcare providers. But what if the very skills that you have been using to build your classroom, your teams and your programs and learning experiences could help you build a business, a brand, a consulting practice, maybe a training company, maybe a podcast, a book, or just an entirely new career altogether? So today we are welcoming back our friend Avad, who's been on our show a couple times now. We welcome her back to the Child Care Director's Chair. We're going to have really great conversation today. She also had been talking about this for a while. We've talked so many times, and she has just made the leap. And I'm going to let her tell her story, but we're so glad you're here for us. So welcome back, Avad.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So, I know sometimes taking that jump can feel terrifying because I can remember when I took that leap and left the center that I was working at to open my own in 2008. For those of you who are 5 minutes old and don't really know, 2008 was one of the worst economic crashes in our country. And everybody in my family is like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. When I say everyone in my family, not my immediate family, but like my uncles and my mother, and they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. I said, I'm more scared to work for someone right now than to work for myself because at least I know where I stand, right? Because you would go out, you would buy a car, buy a house, and 3 months later, you're laid off on a pink slip. At least I know when that pink slip is coming. So, Avad, let's talk about it. Your big leap into the new shiny world of being your own boss.
Yeah. I honestly should have done it last year. But I, as you said, was afraid of taking that big leap. So I decided to stay. It's been a thought on my mind for a long time to leave the classroom, pursue other things. My passion is in helping educators make teaching more sustainable, doing preschool consulting. And I didn't listen to my gut last year, and this year ended up having a really, really tough year. So I've been in the classroom, in and out of the classroom for 11 years. All throughout those 11 years, whether I was full-time or subbing or doing a maternity leave coverage, I was always in the classroom. And this past year, I was in the classroom with a really tough group of kids and not a lot of support. And I was like, I should just be doing what I love, which is supporting teachers and being a consultant. And so when I left the school year, after the school year was over, I had to like kind of readjust.
Yeah.
Having a boss where I had to call out sick and get certain number of vacation days and whatever else, I'm now like, okay, how do I manage my time and be the consultant and show up for my clients and do what I need to do, but also live my life the way I want to live it without those set rules around my time.
Yeah. You know what I think happens, Avad? I think this is just my perception. What I think happens is we hit these seasons in our life that sometimes give us the courage to just go, right? So for me, it was like when I had my daughter, that's how I ended up here. And then again, as I start to get older, made the jump to do some other things outside of the four walls of my center. And you recently got married.
I'm
Or are
getting
you
married.
getting married? You're getting married. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah. So I just think there's something about the journey of an educator and it changes. We evolve over time.
for
And
sure.
so it's okay to acknowledge that you want to do something different. It doesn't mean that you didn't love the time that you had doing those things. It just means we've evolved. And I think that
Yeah.
that's so important for people to acknowledge. So I think educators often underestimate how many transferable skills they actually have. Like what skills from your work and education helped you prepare to become a business owner?
Well, number one is my time management skills were terrible when I first went into the classroom, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to manage my time because my first few years were really uh, centered around teaching. And I would do work in and out of school. I would do work over weekends. I was doing it all. And what ended up happening was obviously burnout at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to figure out how to manage my time so that I could teach and be the best teacher in the classroom, but also have a life outside of that. Because I
Okay.
didn't want to just be a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like the core piece is time management because at the end of the day, as a teacher, we're so busy. We're so busy during
Mm-hmm.
our days, but we have the skill to manage our time so that we can take advantage of every moment during the day rather than trying to take everything home with us and then
Yeah.
end up in a burnout cycle. Um, there are so many skills. I mean, you have classroom management skills, behavior management skills, communication skills. There's so many skills that you can take with you and
Yeah.
bring into a different career, whatever that career looks like.
Yeah. Why do you think so many educators have difficulty seeing themselves as an entrepreneur or a leader or consultant?
We were never taught that it's okay to look outside of those four walls of the classroom.
We teaching it now,
We
Avad. We are
um,
teaching it now.
Yeah, it's become more apparent over the last few years, but we were always taught that you get your degree, you go into the classroom, maybe you step into administration, maybe not, and if you don't, you stay in the classroom for 20 some odd years, 30 some odd years, 40 some odd years, depending how much
Hmm.
you want to spend. We were never taught to look outside of that. We were never taught to look outside of even the education world if we wanted to.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that thinking is changing a lot. There are a lot more teachers who are becoming entrepreneurs, who are starting personal brands, businesses, etc.
Hmm.
But we were never taught that way of thinking.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's very, very true. And I agree with you. It's changed a lot. I'm even going to say, I feel like 2019 really was the start of that as people had so much time at home to really reflect and think about, gee, like I'm not stressed. I feel great about not being in a classroom or, what are the things that you really enjoyed, right? I know some folks started writing books because they love reading and they're like, oh my God, I have a book in me. But they had the time. I think that's the thing when you're allowed that time to be reflective and just think about what you truly want. And I think that's what happened to a lot of people in 2019. And maybe they sat on it for a while, right? Maybe they didn't quite launch off, but that seed, I want to say a lot of those seeds were really cultivated in, 2019, 2021. And now we're seeing the after effects of people like who have been working on this thing and been, having it sit over and over, mulling it over, and just pulling the trigger, which I'm here for it. Let me tell you.
It's funny you
Um,
say that because I started my business during that time.
yeah, it's right. I talk to people every day, Yvonne. I'm telling you, that's the thing because when you have time to connect with yourself, right? That's the same time I took off to Arizona, 2020. So when you have time to reconnect with yourself, some really amazing things happen for you and the people around you. So because like you said, if not, you can just get so busy in the day to day, you almost feel like you're a hamster on a wheel, and you just get up, rinse, repeat, get up, rinse, repeat. We can't live for the weekend. We
No.
can't. And if you find yourself living for the weekend, you are not living your best life. If you can't just wait to get to Friday, you're not living your best life. I wake up, I jump out of bed now. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do today? Am I going to do a podcast? Am I going to do a YouTube? What am I going to do? Like it feels so good to have that autonomy and control. And for me, I already had a business, but I was running that business. And for
Yeah.
me, although I was already an entrepreneur, for me, it looked a little differently. And I'm talking to those of you who are childcare owners right now. It looked a little different because I know so many of us are in the day to day. But it's a business. Like, grow your people, let them run it, and do the other things that you want to do. Not saying to be, not present. Be present, but don't be operating it on a day to day, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Avad, was there a moment when you realized, I know that I have been I know that I have more than I've been giving myself credit for?
Yeah, it's funny. I realized that I wanted more than just teaching. And initially I thought it was going to be administration and running my own preschool. And running my
Mm-hmm.
own preschool is still a part of it. But that was in my third year of teaching. And people told me I was crazy. People told me that how am I going to get an administrative job or start my own preschool with only 3 years of teaching under my belt? And I listened to that noise for a long
That is
time.
noise. That is a lot of noise. Yeah.
And so now when I work with teachers who want to build businesses, who want to consult, who want to do all these things, I tell them to block that noise out, to not ask anyone for their opinion, because at the end of the day, you can get oh my gosh, that's amazing, go do it. I support you, but you can also get what are you, crazy? Like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you
I
insane?
got it.
And if you're like me, where you take everything in, it's gonna affect the way you move forward. And for
Yeah.
me, so it affected me. Year 3 up until year 7, I didn't start my business. So it took me 5 years, 4 years to start my business. And even then, it wasn't totally fleshed out yet. I
Yeah.
didn't know what was going to happen now.
Yeah. Well, guess what, honey? It's never going to be flushed out because you're going to keep evolving and you're going to keep changing and you're going to keep tweaking. But I'm so excited for you and your new journey. Let me ask you, how can the educator who's listening right now begin to identify which of their talents could become either a service, a product, a program, or a business?
So there are a few things. There are different routes you can take as an educator if you want to build a business. Um, I have a client who has always been a babysitter and a wonderful babysitter, but she's so tired of going to people's houses to babysit. She's, in her 30s, she's done with it. She's in a relationship, etc. So we built a subscription where the parents that know her already can sign up for babysitting services, but she hires babysitters to do those services. She doesn't do them herself. So that was something that we when she first came into the program that I had, she had no idea what she wanted to do. But when we narrowed down what she really is good at, what she does for other people in general, that's when we came to that conclusion. I have another client who wanted to help teachers. In her first 5 years of teaching, she was non-renewed by her district. And so she was really set on helping teachers who are non-renewed. And at first, we created one-on-one coaching mentorship program, and that didn't align with her. She actually burnt herself out working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we reconvened, she's now a one-on-one client. When we reconvened one-on-one, within 2 weeks, she figured out that she actually wants to create a community of teachers who
Mm-hmm.
pay month to month and get value from her and get help to navigate that non-renewal and potentially get a new job.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there's so many different things that you can do. You know, if you are someone who teaches in the classroom, but you also mentor a lot of new teachers, you can do something with that, right? If you're someone who likes to create all these uh, uh, digital products for teachers. You do it for your own classroom. Create them and sell them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's so many options for you. If you like the behind the scenes operational side of childcare, you have ideas in terms of how to make a director or an owner's job easier and for them to be able to take a step back, do that, right? Like there's so many options you can go in. It really depends on what you're interested in and what you like to do, what you already do for people outside of the four walls of your classroom.
Yeah. What does believing in yourself actually look like when you're still afraid and unsure of the outcome?
Knowing and trusting that things will work out in the way they're supposed to. And that is so hard. But when you know and you trust that things will work out, that's when you see the changes and see what you're capable of. Because if you don't trust yourself enough to build and to do the things that you want to do, you're never going to do it. You're never going to take that first step.
Yeah. You know, I think too, you have to really surround yourself immediately with people who understand and support your vision. I think that whether you have a coach yourself or a mentor or a friend who started their own business, I feel like you need to be around other supportive people because you are going to get some of that pushback at the beginning. Why are you doing that? You're not going to make enough money, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that definitely is going to happen to you. And you know what's weird is it's always going to be people that you almost don't expect it from, because they feel like they're protecting you, but really, and I'm sure they have good intentions, but like I said, for me, it was my family that was like, "Oh no, it's a recession. Don't do it. Don't do it." I'm like, I'm doing it. So, how do you separate useful advice from someone else who's projecting their own fear into your dream?
Hmm. So I think, again, it really is about who you surround yourself with. Because when I was thinking about moving into entrepreneurship or into administration in year 3, the people around me were not the people who were doing those things. These were the people who were in the classroom, or people who didn't really know anything about the education system. Some of them were my family, my relatives, right? But when you start to surround yourself with people who are ahead of you, who are doing the thing that you want to do, it doesn't matter if it's exactly the same, but are doing exactly what you want to do, that's when you can get the support, the cheering, the whatever you want to call it. Um, that's where you can get it. And you won't be bogged down by someone else's opinion.
Yeah. So let's talk about making that jump, right? We already talked about what obstacles you're gonna face. What did it feel like emotionally to stop working for someone else and take responsibility for building your own business?
That was an emotional roller coaster.
Mhm.
um, as I said earlier, I had a really tough year this year. So when I left the classroom, it was a really hard transition into being my own boss. I had all these expectations and visions of what it would look like, but nothing that I was doing actually felt like what I had envisioned. And so I had to reset my nervous system and really figure out what specifically was going to move the needle forward for me in terms of building the business that I want to build. So, I think I mentioned this off recording, but I had um, I had initially last summer completely switched the ideal client that I was dealing with, that I was working with. I was working with now, I started to work with teachers who wanted to build businesses, who wanted to build brands. And now that's not completely off the table because I do have a few spots inside of one-on-one coaching for that, but it's not the forefront of my business anymore because it just didn't feel right for me.
Mm-hmm.
I kept questioning how I became a business coach when I didn't want to be a business coach, when I never set out to be one. I knew that helping teachers build businesses was going to be a part of my brand, but I never thought
Mm-hmm.
it would be my entire brand. And so that also took time to figure out and to really understand not only my nervous system, but then, we spoke, my grandmother passed away a week and a half after I had finished school. And then and then I had to kind of figure out where to go from there and deal with the grief on top of everything else. So it's not an easy transition, but it's been a month now, over a month now, and I can say that I am loving where I'm at. I love the repositioning and the ability to continue to help teachers build brands inside of one-on-one, but really focusing on helping teachers make teaching sustainable and helping preschools on the operational side of things if that's what they need.
Yeah. Um, how did you learn to talk confidently about what you offer? Because when people first start out, they're a little nervous. So when did you get
I
that
was that person.
confidence? Yeah.
I was that person. Um, I think it just took practice. I just kept doing it. Some people, when they lack confidence, they kind of take a step back and they stop. And I don't recommend that. I actually recommend doing it, getting out of your comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
and talking about your offers, even if it makes you uncomfortable at the beginning, because as time goes on, you'll become more confident in what you're saying. There are still moments where I'm like, am I saying this right? Like, am I phrasing this correctly? Is this piece of content good? Like, there are still moments where I question myself. So
Yeah.
you'll continue to question yourself. It's just about whether or not you continue to show up even when you don't feel confident.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Let me ask, what's one small action that an educator could take this week to move their ideas forward?
Okay, well, there are two. Um, First, number one is find someone who you look up to, who you can talk to, strategize with, get a mentor, whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't matter if it's paid or if it's someone that you follow online, you listen to their podcast. Um, find someone who you look up to who can give you that direction. Because what I found is when I find the right coach, the right person, that's when I have the biggest breakthroughs. I don't necessarily always get the money that I spent back, but I do get a lot out of it and I get a lot of growth from that.
Yeah.
And number two, honestly, if you're looking to start any kind of business, social media is really, really important. It doesn't matter if you're starting a preschool, if you are consulting, if you are helping teachers in the classroom, whatever that looks like, social media is really important. So post your first post, introduce yourself,
Yeah.
create an account, right? Like easy step, costs nothing.
Yes. 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 All right. So as we start to wrap up, um, let me ask you, how has your definition of success changed since becoming an entrepreneur?
So my definition of success used to be how much money I got. And that has changed a tremendous amount because at the end of the day, for me now, success is getting one person who can identify with what I'm talking about, can resonate, and maybe potentially look to a program that I create at some point. It doesn't have to be right now. That really is my definition of success. I think a lot of people put the pressure of how much money am I going to get in my business as their definition of success. And I think that can stumble a lot of people, especially at the beginning. And it definitely stumbled me.
Yeah. So finish this sentence. Everything began to change when I finally decided to do what?
When I finally decided to listen to my gut
Uh,
and pursue the thing that I've always wanted to pursue.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Definitely follow your gut. I say that a lot. Follow your gut.
Always.
All right. So guys, I wanna take a minute. First, I want to take a minute to yawn. Sorry. Then we'll take a moment to reflect for a second. I want everyone listening to pause for a moment and think about this question. What are you already doing successfully that someone else would be willing to learn from you, pay you for, or receive support with? And then your next opportunity may not require you to become a completely different person, right? What are you already doing that somebody else could really benefit from? It may require you to finally recognize the value of the person that you already are. And you don't have to abandon your identity as an educator to become an entrepreneur. Your experience as an educator may be the exact reason that your future business succeeds. Patience again, communication, creativity, leadership, resourcefulness for sure, problem solving, absolutely. And these are all things that you've already developed as a teacher. And they're not small skills. They are business building skills. You might not know every step yet. You might not feel completely ready, and you might honestly still be afraid. That's okay. But sometimes believing in yourself does not mean that the fear disappears. It means you decide that your dream deserves a chance, even if the fear is still present. So before we close, I do want to take a moment to thank our national sponsors at Watch Me Grow. Watch Me Grow took a chance on me. They believed in the Child Care Directors Chair podcast, and they believed in the importance of early childhood education. And having a sponsor that believes in your vision is so meaningful, especially when you're building something that began just as an idea, a message, a nervous breakdown, just like therapy. Like, I know I can't be the only educator feeling burnt out, overwhelmed. And the thousands of you that I have talked to over the last 3 years absolutely have solidified that I wasn't alone. So thank you again for tuning into the Child Care Directors Chair podcast today and every other day moving forward. We love you. We appreciate you. Take care of yourself. And as always, have a great day.
Before you go, ask yourself, what's one leadership lesson you'll put into action this week? Then share one takeaway with your leadership team, because Erica believes that great leaders don't just grow themselves, they help others grow too. Ready to keep growing? Join Erica inside the ECE Trailblazers Leadership Membership at childcaredirectorschair.com. Proudly sponsored by Watch Me Grow. Together, we believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. And we'll save your chair for next time.